Good morning. Today is Wednesday the 16th of August and I'm going to go over my trade plan for today. Firstly, congratulations to England's women's team for making it into the final of the World Cup. Anyway, on my screen is the MES 1 hour time frame. I'm just going to quickly look at the daily first so we know where we are. So this potential head and shoulders pattern I've been talking about for a few days looks like it might be possibly setting in. If I get my pen to work. Give me 2 seconds while I... Sometimes it doesn't let me want to use it, so I have to just start it and... So on the daily then we can see this left hand shoulder, potentially this lopsided right hand shoulder, and the neckline kind of runs along where this 50 moving average is. So I hope I can draw on there now. Here we go. So we've got potentially this left hand shoulder, the head, and this is not a very good shoulder. Maybe we're going to put in another shoulder here, but we are looking pretty bearish at the moment. We've broken down through the 50 moving average and we were sitting around there yesterday. We come back, we've retested the 50 as well today, or we tried to retest the lows of yesterday, and it does look pretty bearish. We're putting in a lower high, lower low, another lower high and another lower low. Potentially we've got this area here, the green area, this pivot area, we're watching it for 44. So 4400 through to 4420 is an area to watch for a bounce today. I was looking at the SPX as well, and we've got 4400 area as well as a potential bounce as well. So I think MES will probably get to the 4400 first, but I think if we get down to the 4400 on the SPX as well, then we could see a bit of a bounce back on both SPY and MES. So going back to MES and going into the hourly. So I've got some levels in here. So looking up to yesterday, we touched the 200 moving average and we broke down and we put in a new low. We broke through that pivot as well, which we were hesitating, and then end of the day, but I had a nice trade on at the end of the day. I had a trade, it was on the 5-minute chart, it was a breakdown of a little pullback, and my stop was just above there, and I got out as it broke the low. Obviously I wish I held it, but still it's only a scalp play. But today we've broken through this trend line. We've tested it once, twice, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 9 or so times, and we finally broke through. And then in the pre-market, or yesterday's post-market, we came back, we've retested that trend line for the potential move down, and unfortunately I missed this trade because that was the trade I was waiting for, a break and retest the trend line. I've spoken about it a few times this week, but I thought it was going to happen here and it didn't, and this is the best place, and look at that, it's perfect break and retest that trend line. So I zoom out, you can see the trend line. So we're looking pretty bearish. We are now below the 200, below the 50, below the 20, below the VWAP and below the 8. So potential areas for another move low. I was watching for a break of the low, and I may even take it as a retest. So if we can come back up to, in fact I originally had, where was it, that low there in the default as a area. Let's put that in. That's an area I'm still watching. So possibly it's already retested it as well. So I've missed that trade. That's fine. But I'll see how we go in the market. If we hover around there, then we look like we might be putting in a 3-bar play or something for the breakdown. So I'm basically watching for a short with a target of we've got quite a big gap between here and the potential bounce area. So we've got this area, let's zoom in over here. So we're currently here, and we've potentially got 44.20 areas of bounce. There's this little double bottom, and there's an area of confluence where the tops and bottoms of these candles, tops and bottoms, which is at 44.36, and 44.47 is not a very good area really. Probably based on this, it's an old level form, I'll get rid of that. So yeah, we've got quite a big move down. So 44.44 as a target, and 44.20 as a potential bounce area. So that's what we're watching for, but I'm definitely looking at the bearish side today. If we push back up, then I want to maybe touch the trend line again, or maybe push back up to equal this area, and that's 44.67 to 44.70 as a potential rejection as well. But that'll have to be with confirmation as well, because if we push back up, we would be above the 20 and the 8 and this trend line. So we might want to see it maybe come back before it fails again. I think that's, I'm just seeing if I can find a better level. No, I think that's the best area. 44.36 area for a potential bounce, and that's based on this. So we've got the tops of this area here. We've got the tops and bottoms of candles there. This area where it hesitated for a bit. Let's zoom in again. Yeah, I think that's the best area. So it's going to be with confirmation as well, because it's not a real defined area. I prefer pivots like these pivots here. So the strongest area will be 44.16 to 44.20 for a potential bounce. And if we break down through there, then we've got this area here, which is 43.75, but we've got to get through the 4400, hence why I've got that. That's levels there, and that happens to be quite a good rejection and bounce area. So we could bounce off the 4400 as well. But then again, keep an eye on SPX, because SPX has got 4400 as well, and it might get there a bit earlier. So I'll be watching SPX today. Going over to SPY. So our next main area is 438, this double bottom and this area of demand. So we could potentially be looking at a nice bounce if it comes down to this area. This red line also is an area, of highly congested volume, and it's the point of control. So we might see this act as natural support as well if we do get down there. Level wise, probably this middle one's the best one to be watching, which is 442 for potential bounce. Oh, we're at that right now. 442 and 442.10. So these areas are just based on areas of confidence from going back to June, and these lines have been there for a while as well. Yeah, I think the best place on SPY will be to wait for the 4400 on SPX, and if you're taking SPY, then go long. If you're trading SPY or MES or ES, then if 4400 comes on SPX first, then that's a potential bounce. The same if 4400 comes first on MES, then that's a potential bounce as well. So, but I think MES is a little bit behind the SPX. So there's not really anything else. Potential reject at 44.70 we spoke about, and obviously we've got this area here at 45.10 to 45.15. That area is potential reject. And bounce wise, yeah, just the areas we discussed. I can't see anything else which is any better. Look at the weekly for a second. That's the areas, yeah, so definitely that's the areas to watch for. And we've broken through major areas. Yep, so possibly targeting 4400 to 43.80. which is where the 20 moving average is on the weekly. So we could see it start to gravitate down to this area, and we may see a bounce. Last time we got down there we bounced, so it's likely we're going to bounce a bit again here. Maybe we're putting in a new higher, a lower low, and then a lower high, and then another lower low, hopefully when it gets down to the 50. So that's what we could look out for. So let's quick look at Qs, because that looked a bit stronger yesterday. It still does. It's still within the channel, and it hasn't quite broken the lows, so Qs are looking stronger, which I imagine Nasdaq is as well. So zooming out, we've got quite a bit of support where we are. So we've got these pivots, this like little mini head and shoulders pattern. So we may see a bounce at 365 to 365.20, and we've got this area around it at 357.60. But the best area will be this area I've got in green, and that would be quite a big area, 348 to 350, that area there. So potentially 350 if we get down as a bounce, but we look like we're grinding down, like we are doing on the SPY and MES, just grinding down slowly. That's it for that one. So Nasdaq. Oh, and I'll go back to rejections. Rejection at 372 and 374.30 area. And I could higher risk rejection at 367.50 as well, but that's a higher risk, that's a scalp rejection. But we're with the trend, we are in a downtrend still. Nasdaq's exactly the same, so I'll just zoom out so you see the levels. So we've got a bounce at 150 exactly, 150.20, 151.41, and that's a possible rejection, high risk rejection, and 153.35 also is a bit nicer rejection, and it's an area of it was originally the floor and now it's the ceiling, and we can see it's an area of supply as well, so we could see a nice rejection off here. But we've also got this downward channel, and we've got the downward 200 moving average. Lastly, oil, putting this nice double bottom in the pre-market, putting in a higher low here and a higher high, so potentially we may see a bit of a pullback coming back up towards the trend line. If we are, got an alert round at 82.50, 82.33, this white line here, that's my alert, because I may go for a short because it's pulling back up into this area of supply. And I think that's it really. Just look at news for today. We had some at 8:30. We've got our FMOC minutes at 2 o'clock, so something to be wary of. And we've got crude oil. Oh, we go oil news, so I may be careful if I'm going to take the oil. And that's relatively important. 2 out of 3. Oil and gas. That's it really. Okay, I'll just quickly go back over MES because this is what I'm watching the most on the hourly. Quick look at the levels again. So I'll just say I'll give 2 high risk and 2 low risk plays which I'll be watching for. So the low risk bounce area is going to be 44.20 to 44.16, and that will be a layering position where I'll buy start positions, and my stop will be the bottom 44.09, 44.08 will be the stop. And then if we break through that, we've got 4400, don't forget as well, so a major area. Higher risk bounce will be this level here at 44.36 to 44.37. Bear in mind we're in a downtrend, we've broken the channel, so we will be going against the play, so that'll be a scalp rather than a full size. So with scalps, what I want to do is get a couple of start positions and take profit quickly, and maybe hold one as a runner in case we do see a bounce. Whereas a lower probability play like this one here will be a full size, and I'll take one size off as profit, and then I'll each target would usually be the targets I've got here, or whatever I see in the 5-minute chart, based on moving averages, will be targets getting out properly with a couple left as a runner. So let's kind of treat it differently. So let's look for a higher risk rejection. It's going to be 44.67. If we get back up that there, it's a good area. I call it higher risk because we're quite close to it at the moment. And then a better rejection area will be 45.15 to 45.20. And you could potentially play this area here, but it's quite a congested area. Big zone, and that's another higher probability play as well, and it'd be below the 200. And one thing to keep an eye on the 200, last time we touched it, we rejected it quite a lot. And then a couple of days ago we rejected it, big rejection, and maybe we might get another big rejection if we come off it again, so I'll be keeping an eye for that. Okay, that's me done. I'm going to put these in the Discord channel now, the levels, so I've got some numbers to stare at later.